What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at the 2025 Ram 1500. This one is a bighorn quad cab finished off in hydro blue and the MSRP is $58,000. Big shout out to Garber, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram for providing the new truck for today's video. Take a look at their website, links down below. Underneath the hood of the 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn, you're going to find the optional 3-liter inline 6-cylinder twin turbocharged motor. This is the Hurricane engine pumping out 420 horsepower with 469 pound-feet of torque. This has an 8-speed automatic transmission, sending the power to the rear wheels. However, we do have a 4-wheel drive transfer case. Curb weight is around 5,000 pounds. It runs on a 26-gallon fuel tank, and you can expect 17 miles per gallon in the city with 24 out on the highway. Max towing with this engine can go up to around 11,500 pounds, and then payload is around 2,000 pounds. The overall length is 228.9 inches with wheelbase at 140.5, width is 82.1, and height is 77.6 inches. Moving on to the styling with the 2025 Ram 1500. Cool to see a quad cab versus just the standard crew cabs which we generally see on the dealer lots. You're going to see a nice blacked out design for the headlights with chrome trim in the upper and lower portion. Fades into the grille really nicely with some more chrome accents, Ram written out in a massive font. Then we have some black mesh throughout it to provide cooling to this motor. We have a nice metal chrome bumper, finished off nice and shiny. You got your LED fog lights, tons of parking sensors all throughout, and then a little bit more black mesh throughout the center. Still unmistakably a Ram truck. Styling hasn't really changed from the outgoing model year. You have some bodywork underneath the headlight and then sharp body lines throughout the hood as well to give it that bold appearance. Good looking work truck for sure. And then on the side of the hood, you have your 1500 SST badge. At the side profile, this has a nice set of 20-inch wheels finished in chrome. And then you can take a look at some Bridgestone tires with the white color. You can also see the body color fender flares, which is a nice touch. And then Ram written out with some sharp body lines throughout the lower portion of these doors. You're going to see just black plastic for the door handles, window trim, and mirrors. You do have a turn signal integrated. For the proportions, definitely a little bit different than the full crew cab with the shorter bed. However, this still looks like a pretty nice sized truck with a good use of space. Longer bed on here with some sharp body lines throughout the lower, and then one prominent body line up above. Same fender flare in back, and then a nice set of red taillights with your 4x4 badge, Ram written out, and a Bighorn logo. We have a backup camera right in the center with your grab handle, and then chrome for the rear bumper. All of your parking sensors. I like the integrated dual exhaust. Then you see all your trailer hitch connections. Taking a look at the key fob, we get lock, unlock, and remote start, and it'll say Ram on the backside. We can go ahead and unlock the truck, and then just take a look at this interior. So the Bighorn, more on the base side, you're going to see a nice black fabric interior, still a nice screen, and some decent use of materials. Door panel finished off primarily in just some plastic, a little bit of soft touch. You got some padding for the armrest, a grab handle, all of your window and mirror controls, and your release handle. You have some black trim along with some fabric accents, and then storage in the doors. You are going to see power controls on the driver's seat, and then a nice gray color along this fabric with some contrast stitching, a nice pattern throughout it as well. A little bit more stitching as we make our way to the headrest. Spinning around, you're going to see the black leather steering wheel with some more black stitching and silver trim. And then now inside the 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn, keep my foot on the brake, we can fire it up. You're going to see the analog tach and speedometer, a few analog gauges, and then a small LCD screen. You can configure the screen using this control panel. So right now you can see your speed readout. If I scroll up and down, you can see driver's assistance, and then all sorts of vehicle information, monitoring all the vitals within the truck. Continue down, you have trip information as well. Audio controls pop up, messages, and then a few more things. Got the Ram logo right in the center, all of those controls with your Bluetooth controls, and then you can see cruise control over on the right side with distance pacing. We have a gear limit as well, and then the stalk on the left side is for the turn signals as well as your windshield wipers. Down below we do have headlight controls, interior dimming, adjustments for your pedal, and an electronic parking brake. You're just going to see some black plastic trim throughout the upper dash, a little bit of storage and a plug, more of that black trim. Bighorn on this right side, and then you can open that upper section for a second glove box. Your normal glove box down below, large bucket as you would expect. And then on the smaller screen, this is the first time actually checking out this smaller screen on these new Rams, but you're going to see a nice configurable home screen, a few different items. You have audio control that will pop up, phone integration as well. And then under the vehicle, you can see different settings you're able to change, all sorts of different things on this left side. Controls as well for the screen, the rear view camera. You're able to take a look at that. You can also zoom in and out, which is a nice touch to see. Then you can see the auto dimming. Up here, you can click that, see a few more icons, and then tapping the apps icon, you're going to see a few different things within the truck. Below the screen, you are going to have controls for volume on the left, tuning on the right, heated seats and steering wheel, and then physical climate controls with these large dials. Really easy to toggle everything. You have controls down below for parking sensors, your trailer braking. You also have your gear selector over on this right side. Going into reverse, you can see that backup camera once again, drive and neutral, and then all of our four-wheel drive controls. You're going to see some plugs down below, and then a ton of space all throughout the center console. You're even able to adjust this, moving it forwards and back, extra storage space, some soft touch material, and then you can open that up for a nice amount of space. And grabbing the secondary one, it pops open for more space into the center. You have some fancy math on this back side, so if you're going to use this as a work truck, got a few calculations you can take a look at. And one last look at the interior. Nothing all too fancy or new for the 2025. Still a nice truck for this particular spec. Sliding rear glass, just a black fabric headliner. Then you're going to see dome lights up above that, the control for that rear glass, and then you are going to see a sunglass holder, a thin mirror, and garage door buttons. Moving on to the rear seat space, just grab and open the door. Door panel's finished off just like we saw up front. Of course, being the quad cab, this is a much smaller door than the crew cab will have. You're going to see that cool design, a little bit of plastic inside this trim piece, and then you just have the same fabric back here for this bench style seat. Now these will fold down for better visibility, which is a great touch to see. And then no armrests or anything fancy in the center. You are going to get air vents back here with extra storage, cup holders up above, and then storage behind these seats. You can also grab the base, lifting that up, it'll pop open and give you even more space for the floor to use this as a very practical work truck. So hopping into the back seat of the 2025 Ram Quad Cab. Now I just filmed a Laramie Crew Cab. The back seat was fantastic. This, not so much. So I'm 5'11" sitting here. I do have good headroom. However, the seat back is incredibly straight up. The seats themselves are very short and my knees are right into the seat at my driving height. So this is not the truck for the person who's really gonna use this for family stuff. This is more work truck storage back here. It's decent back here. I mean, we have climate vents and some storage for a few things. The windows are decent. I mean, you have the sliding glass, so it's not the worst, but the seat back, I'm already honestly very uncomfortable. It is straight back up and your knees are cramped. So again, this is not the family trim level. If you want that, get a crew cab. That is so much better. But nonetheless, you're gonna have that longer bed. So not too bad for an overall blend of a work truck daily driver. And then moving on to that bed space, you can just press the button, soft opens, and you're gonna see a painted bed liner for this particular spec. You do have some hooks in the corners just to make it a little more practical for tying items down. So nice to see the space you're gonna gain for swapping the crew cab for the quad cab. Lightweight tailgate, very easily can close it up. All right, setting off in the newest Ram. That new 3-liter twin turbo motor is really, really nice. I was expecting this to have the V6, which I believe now is a V6 e-torque. So it's cool to see you can get a nicer engine in this rather than just a simple V6. Obviously the V8 is kind of gone, so that's no longer part of what a Ram is. No more Hemi in a truck like this, which is a little sad, yes, but this twin turbo motor is so effortless in the power delivery. It's really, really smooth. 8-speed transmission does a great job delivering the power. I'm kind of letting off the throttle as we approach the 4,000 RPM mark just because this is a new truck with only 22 miles, so I want to respect the engine. But this thing is peppy. Plenty of power. This is really nice to drive. Give it a chance if you're not a fan and you only want a V8. This is really nice and much nicer to drive than the old V8 was. So normal driving, you know, for not even being a loaded up truck, kind of a basic one, honestly, it rides really smooth. I just filmed a Laramie and this feels almost like the same ride quality. It's really comfortable. It absorbs bumps very nicely. And while these are just fabric seats, they're really comfortable. Good padding to them as well. Good seating position. You can really see around this truck nicely. Visibility is all fantastic, like any pickup truck is going to be. Brakes do a good job as well. So if you want kind of a work truck, I guess, plus, so it's not just a basic white work truck, you know, two-door truck, this isn't a bad way to go. The back seats are decent, like I showed. I mean, not the greatest. I certainly would stick with a full four-door if you actually are going to use the back seats. But this kind of seems like it has a good, well-rounded truck in general. You have some basic technology and features, and it is a nice place to be, to where if you're just not too interested in the extra bells and whistles, you're still going to get a nice to drive truck at the end of the day, even with a Bighorn, especially with this engine. So it's a nice truck to drive in. It's very quiet. So there's definitely a refined level that these new Ram trucks have in them, to where it doesn't feel like a base model truck as far as ride quality goes. So I think that's a pretty big plus to it. Gosh, that motor just pulls. I really want to rip it on this thing just to feel it out more, but gosh, you are not going to be disappointed when driving this. And given its capacities for towing, payload, everything like that, I mean, I'm pretty sure this truck is just going to handle it really well. So it feels like just a nice overall work truck, something you could kind of daily drive and use for general family things here and there, utility work. Kind of seems like this would be a sweet spot for that. Interior definitely is a little basic in here, but the ergonomics are nice. It's really nice to see just the climate controls right in the center, really easy to use. You don't have to just dive into a screen or anything like that. So I think that's a good touch to this truck, to where it is simple. In a modern day where most trucks are crazy, fully loaded luxury trucks, to have something that is kind of on the simple side and not crazy expensive is pretty comforting. And even though it's $58,000, there's discounts on these new trucks these days. So the discounts are kind of coming back to where you can get this actually for a lot less than MSRP, making it a pretty good value, I think, for what it is. Closer to maybe 50 grand for a nicely equipped modern truck. All right, so my honest thoughts with the Bighorn. I love the engine. I mean, you just get up to some speed. That is really, really nice. Now, if you want a V8, General Motors still has the V8. Ford's got the EcoBoost if you want another twin-turbo 6-cylinder. This engine feels a little bit more grunty, a little more smooth than Ford's EcoBoost, and it is also much more powerful feeling than the V8s. So I'm a fan of this. I'm a turbo fan for my sports cars. I love the turbos, and you just get some power out of it. So that is really nice to see. Now, comfort, like I said, this is actually a really nice to drive truck. I was in the Laramie, and it's just gorgeous to be in. It's just so nice with the materials. It just feels like a luxury truck. I'm really surprised that this one, with the fabric, with the cheaper plastics, still rides the same. A lot of times, automakers will put a much nicer suspension in the higher trim levels and give you a really basic suspension in lower trim levels, to where the ride quality is such a difference. You either spend more and get a nicer truck inside and out, or spend less and get kind of a crappy ride. This doesn't have that. This rides pretty much as smooth. I really can't tell any difference on the driving I'm doing today, but feels just the same as the more expensive Laramie, which is about 10 grand more than this. And yet, you know, this is a more basic truck. So it's nice to see the general ride quality is the same as a more expensive version. So you're not sacrificing the actual truck itself. The foundation work of what this truck is still there across the board, which is a really good plus. Kind of shows that the build quality Ram is putting that same level into all the trucks, regardless if it's going to be more of a work truck, something you're going to beat on, or more of a family luxury truck. So I think that's a really good plus with the Ram trucks in general. And the fact that this engine is available, this is a pretty sweet way to go in a more basic trim level. And even though this is the more basic screen, it doesn't look out of place. Nowadays, we're getting more used to just having a 12 to 15 inch screen or something ridiculous. And sometimes when they put the small ones in, it just looks so weird. This honestly looks perfect. If you told me this was the normal screen, I wouldn't really think much of it. So I feel like they've done a good job just making this have what you would want without the extras that a lot of people don't really care about. Especially truck buyers in general. There's a pretty big, wide spectrum of truck buyers. A lot of truck buyers do love the fully loaded vehicles. That's why so many of them exist. You know, there's demand for the high-end luxury trucks. That's why they exist. However, there's also a pretty good demand for the more bare-bones, simple ones like this. And I think they give you what you want without the stuff you don't want. And it's not crazy price difference to where, you know, this is about what it would cost, you would think, in today's world of more expensive vehicles. But overall thoughts, not too bad. I'm not a big fan of the rear seat space. Definitely is tight. For me, I would be using this more as like a family style truck, home things, not really a work truck at all, since I'm not in the line of work that would need a truck like this. But depends on what you're going to do with it, of course. This would definitely suit a lot of people's needs. But I think that is going to wrap it up then for this 2025 Ram 1500, the Bighorn with the quad cab. Cool spec for sure. I'm sure a lot of people are going to quite like what this thing has to offer, especially with some discounts now available on some trucks like this. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for plenty more content, and a big shout out to Garber, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram for providing this 2025 Ram 1500 for today's video. Take a look at their website, linked down below, and I'll see you all in the next video.